Carolyn Bryant testified. I was not outside. I was not in the courtroom when she testified. But her testimony was so outlandish. Uh, I had, the entire group, we discussed that when we got back to where we were staying for the night. And they told how she added and embellished, and finally the judge had the jury go out. He wouldn't even let the jury listen to all of her testimony. He knew that it was a lie. And, but of course, everybody in the courtroom told them told the jury what she had said, just like they told me what she had said. That my son had grabbed her and all of those things. Now, Emmett had just turned 14. He had been 14 1 month and 3 days. Back in the 50s, when you were 14, I can't even compare that to an age today, because a 6-year-old would be bolder than a teenager of 14 years. There's just no comparison. But anyway, she said things that Emmett said to her and whatnot, and which I know, if for no other reason, the fact that he stuttered, he couldn't have done it. Under the excitement, he could not have said some of the things she said he said. So that testimony was so-called stricken. Supposedly that did not go on the records, but it was in the heads of the jurors, and they wanted to believe it, whether it was true or not. Now, when time came for them to render, when they retired, to arrive at a verdict, I turned to Congressman Diggs and his entourage, and Medgar Evers' group and T.R.M. Howard's group. I mean, they had representatives there. And I told them I was ready to go. And Congressman Diggs said, "What, and miss the verdict?" I said, "If that's what you want to know," I said, "I can tell you what that will be." I said, "But that's one verdict you want to miss." And I said, "The verdict is not guilty." He said, "Oh, Miss Bradley," he said, "all of this evidence, they could not possibly bring back a verdict of not guilty." And but because I wanted to leave, they decided to go to now. About 45 minutes after we left town, the verdict came in, not guilty. And it was like, oh, you don't live in Chicago. But when the Bulls would pull another victory, the people in Chicago would just riot. They got carried away with their joy. They would turn police cars over, and you name it. They just acted terrible. And but this was a joyful expression. Well, this is the way the people in Sumner acted when the verdict not guilty came in. They just went berserk. But I also noticed when the jury retired, all of the black people that had been standing around the walls, they quietly exited the courtroom. And that let me know that they knew something. And if they were going to leave, then it was time for me to leave too. I could hear the verdict at a safer distance because had the verdict been guilty, we would have been in danger. Fire these pistols and the little uh, pellets would pop. I'm telling you, I sweated every morning going into the courtroom. And the daddies would hit themselves on the leg and they would laugh and they would bend way over and they would say to one another, "Now, isn't that cute?" As we would leave the courtroom for various reasons, we would encounter uh, the reporters, and we would also encounter the townspeople. And every day when I left that courtroom, I was threatened. And even the cameramen were threatened.